guys, so don't worry about it.
All right.
I'm just trying to connect to this. There. All right. Well, I am Adam Dorito, and welcome back to Tuxes and Tomahawks. I've been out of for a few weeks since I decided it was a good idea to go to South America for a month. But I am happy to come back and right back into the election season. Donald Trump was just here in Colorado, and I am here today with Miss Kathy Reeves, who is running for House District 11 here in Colorado. And thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today.
Well, thank you, Adam. I appreciate it.
So tell me about you. Where are you from? Where did you grow up? What have you done in your life? And, all the things that led you up to think it was a good idea to run for politics here in the state of Colorado.
All right. Well, I am a Colorado native. My parents are both immigrants, though. My mom from Hungary and my dad from Canada. And they came as legal citizens and naturalized to become Americans. And I'm a wife, a mother, a grandmother, um, 6 children, including my stepchildren with my husband. And of course, I'm very invested in this state. I want the future of this state to be bright. And I got involved partly from encouragement of others, but mainly because I've seen what's happened around this state, and we've become less and less a constitutional Republican America, more and more left-leaning and Marxist-leaning. And our freedoms seem to be taken away little by little. And our schools, they've allowed in things that are really not healthy for children. So I was encouraging others to run. And really what happened is concerning all of it, not necessarily politics, just all of what's going on and what needs to happen in the various realms or mountains of society. I just in prayer went before the Lord and said, here I am, send me. And next thing I knew, where he sent me ended up being in the political realm, which I won't pretend to be really familiar with, just willing and excited to do what I can do for Colorado.
That's great. And I think the biggest issue I see with a lot of candidates is that, I ask them, why are you running? And I think you're running for all the right reasons. You're running because you care about your community, what's going on around you. And you've seen so much drastic changes in Colorado and especially up here in Longmont. What are some of the changes that you've seen in Longmont over the years that convinced you that you were the right person to make those changes?
Well, I think the increase in crime, now part of that is our border being just wide open, but we see so many homeless in the streets. We read in the police, reports. There's just too much theft, too much danger in our community, and there are parents that are very concerned about that. Our police aren't free to police the way they used to. If you go through and do neighborhood policing or just make sure that people are following the existing laws, then you have less crime. But when things aren't enforced because your hands are tied, well, then you see more and more crime. So there's a lot just with policy that hasn't been good.
No, I completely agree. I mean, I live near Greeley. I live in LaSalle, and like one thing that we've seen is that the police have had their hands tied for a few years now. There was this big movement for BLM and don't back the blue, and it actually didn't inspire a lot of people to even want to be police officers. And a lot of the really good officers retired and said, "I'm done with this." Why would I want to be charged with a crime for defending my community? Shooting an illegal immigrant or pulling over somebody who might be considered a minority and who was actively engaged in crime, and now I'm the one being prosecuted when I'm just trying to keep my community safe. And I think that's the hardest thing that we're seeing in Colorado right now is we've lost so many good police officers. Nobody wants to be a cop anymore because they're afraid of being charged for defending their community and the Constitution. And you can see that leaking up north now. Normally we thought that this was a Denver or a Boulder issue, and now we're seeing this progress into our more rural farming agricultural centric communities up here, and it's definitely starting to affect people going to school, people's safety on the highways, things getting robbed out here in the agricultural areas. And it just doesn't seem like any of the current representatives that are representing these areas are doing anything about it because they're so self-interested in what they want to do and their personal careers that they've forgotten that They take an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and they've forgotten about the people in their own communities. And it's just so embarrassing to see that happen in real time over the 17 years I've been here in Colorado.
Absolutely. I think a lot of it is just not being aware of their responsibilities because of what you've said. They have an agenda. They have so much focus on more and more abortion, which they just want to say that's reproductive rights. No, that is murder of a human being. I'm sorry that, to use those terms, but because they're glossing over and using terms that are completely dishonest, then sometimes we need to speak up and just say what that is. The transgender, the transitioning of children behind parents' backs in the school system, the grooming of children is just plain evil. And I really think we need to get involved in so many different ways. We need to stand up for our people and at the same time not be a nanny state, because it's like they're doing both. They want to be nannies concerning everything so that money is handed out everywhere. And they act like it's free money, but no, that's taxpayer money. So I'd like to see them be more reserved with paying for everything, but at the same time do what a government's designed to do, and that's to protect not only all of our basic rights, but also just the citizens. They should be protecting our rights to, freedom of speech, our Second Amendment, our right to freely assemble peacefully. And of course, what we saw with the churches being shut down with COVID, that was completely unconstitutional.
No, I completely agree with you. It seems like they are focusing on issues like abortion and things like that, that in reality, that is not the issues facing our great state of Colorado. We are an abortion-free state, which is complete insanity to me. Obviously I'm a conservative Catholic. I don't agree with any of those talking points. And even that's something I don't even necessarily agree with what even Trump has said, because he's given the Bill Clinton defense of, life of the mother and, whatever the other two are. And I understand there has to be some kind of compromise, right? Not everybody's a conservative Catholic. Not everyone's a conservative Christian. There are other conservatives that hold different values. And at the end of the day, it's more about getting Donald Trump elected and the down ballot candidates for that. But at the end of the day, is abortion the most critical issue facing the state of Colorado? No, it's not. It's the illegal immigration. It's the economy. It's Tabor. It's water rights. It's the things that are actually affecting our local citizens every day. And it seems that the Democrats are strategically using a lot of propaganda to diffuse what actually matters to Coloradans, to make people think that this abortion issue or this illegal immigrant issue is going to propagate over everybody's interests here in the state, and we're forgetting about the things that really matter, which is your common citizen here. And it sounds like these are the interests that and the topics that have drawn you to run for office. So what are some of the major issues you see going on in District 11 that you want to directly address for the people that are going to vote for you?
Well, it's the cost of living. First and foremost on everyone's mind is what it's costing them at the grocery store, at the gas pump. They just can't afford it. And government has played a large role in making that worse. We have, since 2007, had a Democratic governor, and most of the time, both houses have been Democrats. Now, we've had a slight majority in the House for a while and in the Senate for a while, but mainly all Democrats since 2007. And the last 6 years, it's what they call a trifecta. So they've got the majority, Senate and House, and of course, our governor. So while people have been well-meaning, not only always Republicans, but mainly, and other people that have some conservative viewpoints in the legislature, there's so few. We have a super minority. And so what I want to see is government regulation so cut back. We have small business owners in Longmont that are struggling just to stay in business. And they've thought about moving to other communities or maybe even other states because the government regulation is just keeping them from making a profit. And so many businesses are affected. I was talking to a man the other day who's a mover, and normally people are buying and selling homes, and they're able to stay in business with moving. And despite the fact that regulation is difficult for them, now it's the economy is so poor that they're really having to find other things to do. And it's just been rough all around for our small business owners. There's been favoritism in the law that is towards the huge companies, the Sam's and the Costco's and that kind of thing. And our small business really needs to be able to thrive. The number one thing I'd like to do actually is repealing. So many go in there, oh, I'm going to pass this bill, and they're trying to make sure they have their 5 bills written before the session even starts. Well, there's so much that's evil that's already been passed that we need to see what we can do to stop some of what's already there.
I completely agree with you. I think one thing a lot of candidates like to brag about is like, oh, look how many bills I passed, or look how many things I signed on to. I actually interviewed Ken DeGraff a couple weeks ago, and he made a comment about that. He's like, see this giant stack? Like, this is all the work that we did in this Colorado session. And he's like, these are all useless. We just risky add another 6 volumes of useless bills and laws to the state of Colorado just so representatives can say, well, we renamed a post office, or or we did something, right? It's some other arbitrary thing to say that these candidates or representatives can say, well, we passed a bill, or we passed this kind of reform, or we changed this line in some kind of obscure agricultural bridge tax or something going on in Grand Junction that no one's ever going to look at ever again. And I think that's an awesome thing that is bringing you into this candidacy, is that you are somebody who wants to cut regulations. Instead of bragging about how many bills we passed this year, how about you brag about how many bills you cut and destroyed and kept off the ballot? That's one criticism that even Lauren Boebert gets a lot. They say, well, why would I vote for Lauren Boebert? She's never passed a bill in all her years in Congress. And I'm like, good. Good.
Good.
She's not wasting everybody's time. And I actually I've worked with Lauren on a few things in Congress, and I have to give her a lot of credit because they say, well, this is the Colorado Roads Act, right? But the Colorado Roads Act is only like 10% of the money goes to the state of Colorado, and the rest of it goes to Ukraine and Israel. So she'll vote no on it. And they're like, I can't believe Lauren Boebert voted no on the Colorado Roads Act. And they said, because she's smart and she knows it's pork barrel spending and you're wasting my tax dollars, right? And we need more candidates that are willing to stand up to that, to cut the fat and cut the excessive regulation, are willing to give freedom back to the people of Colorado versus continuing to take their freedoms away and wasting their tax dollars on everything else.
Yes, I agree with you, Adam. That is a really great point. There is so much hidden in every bill that nobody can just take a look at the summary and say, oh, my representative should vote yes or no. Well, you've got to read a lot more than that and be in a lot of discussions about what it's really going to do. And yeah, good on Lauren Boebert, because she has stood strong, and she really wants to see us stop wasting tax dollars. People can't be taxed to death. And I don't know how it is, because sometimes people on the left are actually offended when I say I want us to pay lower taxes, fewer taxes. It's almost like a ritual. Oh, we should all be happy to pay our taxes. Well, look what it's going to. It's either going to something useless and worthless, or it's going to something that's evil and very dangerous. So we've got to, there were 705 bills introduced, 525 of those bills, which is probably the stack
For what? Like, it's just
that you
for
were looking
what?
at. For what? Right. And can the average Coloradan keep abreast of, oh, now there's this new law I have to follow? And
No, they're actually counting on your ignorance as a voter. And this is actually something that I actually addressed at a Republican breakfast meeting the other day with a few other people who were like, oh, they want, and I forget, I wish I had the paper in front of me, but there were all the initiatives that are on the Colorado ballot this year. And we were going through each initiative and like, oh, what should we vote for as conservatives? What should we not? And one of the propositions, I forget what it was, Proposition I or whatever, was like, we need to raise taxes in order to train more cops, and then make sure that their death benefit payout is $1 million for killed in the line of duty, and this is all going to go to the mental health resources for their families, veterans, and children. And most people blindly will say, yeah, we need to give more money to the state to regulate training for cops for ethnic diversity and dealing with minorities. And I sat there and just went, wait a minute, time out. Everyone needs to pay attention to the language in these initiatives. When they say that the state of Colorado wants to raise taxes to train police officers for DEI and minority dealing with, but all the money is going to go to the children and mental health. So they trick people in raising taxes, saying they're going to give millions of dollars to train cops. Now, the government say they're going to regulate training cops. The state of Colorado is going to regulate the training of all police departments, right? And then, but don't worry, the money's going to go to the children. And that would actually encourage voters to understand every time you see for the children, for veterans, for police and fire, vote no, because all they're doing is a county or municipality should be in charge of training their police specifically to their community. Jared Polis should not be mandating how every cop is trained on DEI or minority initiatives. And then when Polis is telling me that he's going to give all the money to the children, I don't believe that at all, because there already is a death benefit for police officers. There already is. Actually, as a service member myself, my death benefit's only $400,000 if I get killed in Iraq, right? So they're trying to say that we're going to give $1 million to the cops when that you never see that happen. And we have seen the same thing with the marijuana initiatives, right? All the money is going to go to the children and for education. We're gonna pay for all the education for the children in the state for marijuana. Well, all the money disappeared and nobody knows where it went, because the state promised us that this is where the money was going to go to. But they forgot that they can't put the money in the banks because they're federally insured and it's still a Schedule I drug to the feds. So they raised your taxes, put all these marijuana taxes in place, said it was going to go to the children to build schools and roads, and then all those billions of dollars have gone missing under Jared Polis' administration. Nobody knows where the money went, and we still have people driving, smoking pot, crashing into people, and killing people on the highways, right? And it's not, I'm not necessarily saying like I'm against marijuana per se. Like I know it has its uses, but I would be very careful for people on their initiatives, and I applaud you for telling people to cut regulations and read through the bills and the initiatives, right? Because the Democrats are just trying to trick even regular conservatives into raising our taxes. And another thing that probably comes close to Longmont, there is Greeley is the only city in the state of Colorado that has a food tax. Right, so if I go to King Soopers, it's a 2.6% tax on my food if I want to buy food, but they say it's going to go to roads and bridges, right? We're gonna fix Highway 34 going into Longmont, right? Well, it's been going on, but we're only going to raise this tax for 10 years. We promise only 10 years. In 2014, they passed this. It's been going on for the past 10 years. Well, the initiative in Greeley in Weld County this year is, well, we don't want to raise your taxes, but we want to keep the status quo. We want to keep that tax in place because it was supposed to sunset in 2024 after 10 years. Well, what happened to all the money they've been collecting for the city of Greeley and Weld County for the last 10 years for this bridge and roads tax? Well, they spent it all on stupid art pieces in parks.
Right.
So I don't go to the parks in Greeley, and I don't care about your transgender ideology sculpture next to the ice rink, right? You said you were going to fix Highway 34 by raising this food tax for 10 years. And the city and the county have irresponsibly spent those tax dollars because they say it's for the children, it's for safety, it's for all these other things. And that's what I encourage people to read your initiatives and vote for candidates that aren't going to try to trick you into just raising your taxes arbitrarily, keeping the money, misappropriating government funds, because we are wasting billions and millions of dollars in this state. And it just never stops. Like you said, there was 704 or 708 bills passed, and for what? What did that change in the state of Colorado? It just our property taxes are still higher, my food costs are still high. I still have illegal immigrants dropping bodies out there on Steve Wells and Art Gutterson's ranch out here to the east because they're getting in fights with the Venezuelans down in Aurora, and nobody's talking about that, right? But at what point in time are Coloradans going to wake up and start electing candidates like you who want to come in and actually deregulate more than versus regulate their opponents more? I just don't understand it.
I don't understand it either. I mean, the people who want all the good things to happen are voting for candidates that want the opposite. They're not even checking into the positions that their candidates hold. And maybe they were raised in a family that always voted a certain way, so they do. But I would really encourage everybody out there, read, learn what the candidates are supporting, and vote accordingly. You've got to vote according to your heart, according to your faith in God, according to what you actually believe yourself, and not just take it for granted that that person in that particular party is going to vote for those things. And I realize sometimes there's no candidate in a particular race that you feel affinity towards. Well, you pick the lesser of the two evils, if you want to put it that way. Hold your nose, go vote. Hopefully, we have a lot of great candidates this year. I've been really pleased to see the districts around here also have good conservative candidates running. And I just hope we see a sweep in the House and Senate. We see a turn, because people are fed up. They've been voting for the same regulations and overtaxation, and not actually helping the people in any way, not encouraging businesses to thrive so that they can pay. We don't need a minimum wage set at a certain rate, because some businesses can't afford that and then they go out of business. What we need is for businesses to have everything they need so they can thrive, and then they will raise the wages and salaries of their employees, and they will be able to hire more people. So we need to create that environment, that free market society that functions the way it's meant to. Capitalism is great as long as we let it work. Supply and demand will make sure that prices are fair and everyone has the goods that they need. And of course, we want manufacturing to be done right here in the United States. So a lot of this will be with the federal level. They'll be making the changes that we need, so that here in Colorado we can also take advantage of the policy changes and just help everyone thrive here. So yeah, you made some very good points there.
No, I 100% agree with you, Kathy. And this is the biggest problem I have with the conservatives up here in our area, up north, right? Is that they have this dissolution of, it's not my problem. I'm not going to vote for Donald Trump, or I'm not even going to vote for Biden. I'm just going to take care of my own. I'm not going to get involved. And you are opening the door for absolute disaster doing that. These people have a lot of balls coming on Twitter and Facebook and Rumble and everything else and complaining about everything, but they're not actually participating in their government. I always love how they say, well, this is going to be the end of democracy. Well, you're an idiot, because we don't live in a democracy. We live in a constitutional republic. So thank you for paying attention in 6th grade civics class, right? But the problem is, if you don't elect the people to represent you correctly, you're going to live under the Democrats' version of democracy, which is taking away your right to life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness, right? And this is one thing I criticize people on all the time, is that you have two choices in this election, or in this country in general. You could be a resident, or you can be a citizen. And everyone here talks about how great it is to be an American citizen, but what does that actually mean? It means you must participate in your government, whether it's the Board of Education, whether it's your mayoral meetings, whether it's your county commissioner meetings, your state representatives, and all the way to federal and president, which are so far away from us it doesn't even matter. Like, just because you vote for Donald Trump doesn't mean that anything's going to change here in your local community, right? But you need to be involved at your state level, your community level. You need to show up to those meetings. And the problem we have, especially with the younger voters too, is that, oh, I don't have time for this. I have kids. I have a job. I don't have all these things. Well, they're going to have plenty of time to keep taking away your rights and raising your taxes, right? Because I keep going to these meetings and I think it's a retirement social club. It's all these people without jobs who are retired, who are dictating their policies for the entire county, especially here in Weld County. It's an absolute disaster. And then everyone wonders why, well, where'd all the money go and why is there all this migrant crime? It's because there's like 10 people controlling the entire county, because you don't show up to the meetings and voice your opinion. So if you're not going to show up to the meetings, you're not going to go to the Golden Dome down there in Denver, you're not going to voice your opinion, you're not going to talk to your representatives, and you're going to ask them for what you need in your community, then how could you possibly expect for them not to pass 700 plus bills a year to rename a post office or raise your taxes, because you didn't care enough to be a citizen? You just want to live here and exist as a resident. And that's one thing I encourage people, especially in the area of Longmont, is to listen to what Kathy has to say. All right. She obviously wants to cut regulations. She wants to do all the things for your local community because she obviously cares about what she's doing there and what she can change, because obviously your current representatives are doing jack shit to actually change the policies here in the state of Colorado. Do I want another 700 bills passed and have to talk to Ken DeGraff about that all over again? No, I want to see like 50 bills passed this year. That's it. 50. Make it 50. You know, that's at least like one per county, maybe two. right? But that's the problem, Kathy, is that we have too many people who just want to be residents and not citizens. And I want to commend you for being somebody who wants to be a citizen here in the state of Colorado and take back what Democrats have taken for us for so many years.
Absolutely. We used to be a conservative state and things were really good in Colorado. Growing up here, things were great. We had a great economy. We didn't have all these divisive issues. And people need to realize basically they're the king. I mean, who's the king in Colorado? Well, it's the people, we the people. It's government of the people, by the people, for the people. That's how it's supposed to be. We're a constitutional republic, of course. So we're complaining about, oh, what is the government doing? Well, there's not just rights with being a constitutional republic, there are responsibilities. If we're going to be the governing body, we the people, then we need to be involved. We need to be speaking our minds. We need to be actively pursuing the type of lifestyle that we want our children, our grandchildren to have. We've got to get out there and fight for it. And when somebody says they don't vote, well, you're right. They don't have the right to complain about what's going on if they're not going to do the simplest, most basic thing that people around the world would love to be able to vote, that are living in countries where either everyone's forced to vote for the same person, so that isn't a vote, or they get no vote at all. Certainly with ranked choice voting, they are trying to make it so we don't have a chance. Our votes won't count. So we absolutely can't let that thing pass. Let's see which one it is.
Proposition 131. Yep,
yeah,
131.
Top 4 and ranked choice voting.
No,
131 is a big no, because it'll take away our rights, and so we need to exercise those rights. And
well, the problem is with ranked choice voting, it's so deceptive, right? People, the way they've been putting out these propaganda pieces all over the news and all over YouTube and Netflix is like, do you want the mush peas or do you want the mashed potatoes? And from the lunch lady, you have one of these two choices. No, I want to choose whatever I want. That's not how that works, because if you open it up to ranked choice voting in the state of Colorado, where there's no primary for the political parties, and I invite you, if the libertarians ever get a seat, that's fine, right? But the problem with that is you're opening the door for only rich, influential people to control the entire government, because they're the only ones who are going to be able to pay for the campaign slots. They're going to be able to overrun everybody. They're not going to be supporting the small $5 donations that support, whether it's the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, to support their candidates. Now, are there problems within the Colorado GOP? Oh, God, are there? I mean, I think we've seen that entire shit show for the past year, and I've been heavily involved in that. But at the end of the day, the courts made a decision. Dave Williams is still the chairman, and now we could stop wasting time and start pushing other candidates through. Great, fantastic. But one that never should have happened in the first place. Can you imagine if that was ranked choice voting? Oh, it would have been even worse. It would have been absolutely worse. You would have had, I forget the guy's name who's even supporting, the billionaire who's supporting Prop 131, who's spending all these millions and millions of dollars. I forget his name.
Theory. His name is Theory.
Theory.
And yes,
do you want him to be governor?
You have to have lots of money, first of all, to even get on the ballot, because you're doing, it's hard to get enough signatures. So they're paying people to go out and get the signatures so that they can get on the ballot. And it's only open to big money, and it's no longer open to the citizens. It's just taking away our government as it's intended to operate.
And every state that has tried ranked choice voting has regretted that decision and is now trying to remove it. And the state of Alaska is a perfect example of that. It's on the ballot this year to remove ranked choice voting because it's completely destroyed that state politically. And they're getting nowhere. And that's why no one even knows if it's a state anymore, because they're in such chaos with millionaires and billionaires trying to make every influential policy decision. And we already have a problem with that now in the state of Colorado. We don't need to make it worse. We need to have real grassroots conservatives like yourself who can go out and talk to their neighbors and be involved in their local communities, who have lived here their entire lives and raised families and run businesses. You are the people that need to be in control of the government, not the Kent theories of the state of Colorado.
I agree. Thank you for that.
So Kathy, I know you're running out of time. I know you said you didn't have a lot of time today. So where can people learn more about you? Where can they send donations to? Where can they support Kathy Reeves for House District 11 up in Longmont, Colorado in the upcoming election?
Thank you. Yes, please go to reevesforcolorado.com. So my website's there. You can read more about me, reevesforcolorado.com. And there's a place to donate there as well. And I would really appreciate your support. Tell your friends. Tell your friends about me. Now, of course, you have to be in Longmont, but you might know someone in Longmont if you don't live here yourself. So please let them know that there is an alternative to the status quo. And let's
Awesome.
be strong.
No, I love that. So everybody out there on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and Rumble and all the other places it's going to get posted, make sure you go to reevesforcolorado.com, support Kathy and her candidacy, and let's get real grassroots conservatives back in control of our government, because it's absolutely out of control, and we can't be dealing with any more Kent theories or Jared Polis initiatives in the state. And we got to get out there and support our conservative candidates, because this is the most important election in our current lifetime, and Donald Trump needs all the support he can get.
Absolutely. So embrace freedom, empower change.
Love it. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, Kathy. I really appreciate it. And I'll make sure this gets on all the social media in the area up here, and we'll help you out as much as we can.
Thanks so much, Adam. You have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.